Hey guys, it's me, Diana again, and welcome back to my galaxy. As you can probably tell, I am not usually my upbeat self, and also if you looked at my other past videos, how I usually have my usual intro, I don't have it in this video. It's serious. I am also not wearing any makeup, as you can see, and if you already read the title or saw the beginning of this video, then you know what it's about. What I am going to talk to you guys today is pretty much a subject that we are all too familiar with or is currently dealing with right now, and it's bullying. And I just decided to share my story with y'all because God knows I have been silent for way too long. And before we get started, I'm not doing this just to get famous or anything. I'm not doing this to jump on a bandwagon. I know that that's probably going to come. And what my main intention is to help others. I want to help others who are either experiencing it right now or might experience it later on in life. And I just want to inform them that you are not alone in this. And I can only hope that my story can possibly help another person. Either they might be a fan of me or a person who might watch it. I just really hope I can help you guys in any way possible. So please watch this video from the beginning all the way to the end because I promise you it's going to be worth it. So people, grab your tissues and your cuddle buddies and let me share my story with you. Elementary school was kind of vague for me, and the reason why I say that is because, I remember little bits in elementary school, but I mean, nothing can compare to middle school and high school, which we'll get to later in the video. But let me just tell you, a few things I remember when I was in elementary school. Obviously, I remember the boys in my elementary school, they wouldn't want to be with me or anything. And they were usually the ones who would insult me and pick on me. And whenever I would try and make friends with the girls, they didn't want to be with me anyways. And they would just ignore me and everything. So that's pretty much all I can remember in elementary school, is that whenever I would try to make friends with the girls, they would all ignore me and pretend like I didn't exist. And as for the boys, they were usually the ones who would pick on me and say some rude things to me. So that's pretty much all I can remember from elementary school at that point, is that the girls would ignore me and the boys would pick on me and say very nasty things to me. Middle school is when things got bad. And before I get into it though, let me just point out a couple things that I forgot to say in my elementary school side, is that during that time from elementary school to middle school and possibly all the way up to high school, since I didn't have any friends, him and these fellas, since I didn't have any friends, I basically had to make my own friends. And wow, I did not think I would tear up so soon. But yeah, since I didn't have any friends, I had to make my own friends. And they have all been with me, since I've been dealing with this. So, and also in the ending of 5th grade, starting into the 6th grade, my family and I moved to a place where it was considered an all-white neighborhood. And when I say that, is usually when It's sad, but it's true. Usually, when people of any race, either you're Asian, Hispanic, Black, if you move into that neighborhood, white people will end up leaving. It's sad but true. And I know that because I've experienced it. And so has my family. The reason why I'm bringing this up now, because it's important to this part of the story, middle school and high school. We'll get to high school later on, but now middle school. Like I said in the beginning, middle school was bad. So bad that I would constantly tell my mom about all the issues that I was dealing with. I would tell my dad, but he would usually be busy at work, or sometimes when I did tell him, sometimes he wouldn't believe me. And I guess that's kind of one of the parts that kind of hurt me when I was in middle school, because I think back then at that time, he was kind of like one of those parents who didn't believe it if he didn't see it. He wanted to see it to believe it. Back onto the subject of middle school. Um, Obviously, none of the girls would want to be friends with me, and the boys, their insults and all the nasty things they would say to me, it got bad. There was one time a boy threatened he would beat me up at school, and there was one part in my life where there was a time where my family and I thought we were going to move to either Woodlands or Sugarland area, and it was on the last day of school in the 7th grade, I believe, when the teacher asked, like, what are you guys going to do this summer? I said that my family and I might be moving, and there was this one boy who literally was like happy and cheering that I was going to move away. That didn't happen though. But I mean, like, just the fact, like, if we did, like, I felt like I didn't matter. Like, why am I here? Me knowing and seeing that people are going to be happy if I'm gone. Also, during that time in the 7th grade, I honestly can't remember if it was 7th or 8th grade, possibly 7th grade. Um, while I was walking to my way to class, there was this big, huge boy who was, and by big I mean taller. He was taller than me. Um, he knew that I didn't like to be late to class and everything because you would get D-Hall or something. And which D-Hall, that's our term for detention and everything. Um, what he did is that he literally grabbed me by the arms so tightly that it almost cut off my circulation in both of my arms. And I explained to the teacher what had happened outside in the hallways, and the teacher knew and kind of saw what was going on. And so she sent me to the AP's office. I told the AP everything that happened, and I had to fill in an incident report as well as a body sheet of like how this person touched me. I would tell my mom about this, and she, at first, she was wondering why I was in the AP's office, which AP means assistant principals. She wanted to know why I was there, and I told her everything, and she got so upset and told my dad, and he got upset too. A whole other argument with between my mom and my dad of like what to do, how to keep me safe, and everything like that. But obviously, a parent can only do so much. They can't go to school with us. They could keep us safe at home and love us through unconditionally. But whenever we walk into that building, something else happens. However, for my mom, it was a whole lot different because not only she was considered working at the elementary school, but pretty much ever since my sister or I would go to different schools, she would always be a part of it. So when we were done in elementary school, she dropped out and worked for the middle school, And then when my sister was in high school and I was still in middle school, she would always be there, either the high school or the middle school and stuff and such like that. So she would always know and be aware of like what was going on. As far as middle school goes and the whole bullying situation there, um, the insults that the boys would say to me got bad. I was threatened that I would get beaten up. I was threatened that I was going to be killed. And to top it all off, I was physically abused, where I still remember it to this day. It's sad but true. And I thought how much worse it can get. It gone from bad to worse. High school is when everything got from bad to worse. And during that time, in the ending of the 8th grade and starting the ninth grade, I actually snuck into my parents' room and I noticed that my dad had a tiny, I don't know if it belonged to my mom or dad, but it was a tiny, like this size of a switchblade and everything. And the reason why I have this now is because I usually use this for like crafting purposes, but in middle school, in the 8th grade, and then high school from ninth to 10th grade, I had a tiny little switchblade in my room. And just in case, but the bullying got from bad to worse. And obviously the boys, their insults gone from bad to worse, and the girls would jump on it too. And I have been called so many dirty names in the book, which I still remember to this day. I'm obviously not going to say it because it would have to be censored and everything, and YouTube has a policy over swearing and other words like that. And honestly, like if I do say them, then I would be in serious trouble. But yeah. However, some of the names that they would call me was the school's trash can and a circus freak. They would also call me a pig, a fat ugly pig. Um, I would get also racist remarks as well when people find out that I'm half Mexican and everything. And I remember to this day, like I would get a lot of kids saying to me that I'm not white enough to be white, or I'm not Mexican enough to be Mexican and everything. And when I tell some of the white kids that I am born here and everything, they would be like, "No, you're not. You're not an American." And I also remember this one, um, a couple of kids would say like, "If you want to fit in, go back to Mexico." Along with them saying that I don't belong here, that I shouldn't be here, and whenever they would say that to me, that hurts. And but honestly, none of those insults can compare to this upcoming insult that I'm about to say to you guys right now. When I say that some of the girls jump in on it too, they had the audacity to tell me that no boy is ever gonna love me, that I would die alone, and that I would never have any kids in the future. They had the audacity to say that to me, that no one will ever love me, that I would never get married, that because who would marry a fat, ugly pig? That's a circus freak and just ugly. I think the ones that hurt me the most was whenever the girls would say that I would never get married and I would never have kids in the future. Those were the ones that actually had a deep effect on me. Obviously, I've been called fat all my life, but the few insults that really hurt me was that I would never get married and I would never have kids. When I would walk from class to class, they would push me and shove me on purpose. And there was once a time where one of the boys pushed me so hard that all of my books fell on the ground and everyone was laughing at me. Whenever there was school spirit days, and I would either have like blue paints, very little blue paints on my face, like tiny little dots, or like little paw prints, or like some paint on my hands and everything. That's when they would call me circus freak and stuff and such like that. And I was not doing anything wrong, but trying to show a little bit of school pride for them and everything. But obviously that didn't work. And in some of my school pictures where I would be smiling, I was smiling, but not really. While you would see a smile on my face, I was literally hurting on the inside. And like every day, it would get worse and worse. Every time I would walk those school hallways, it just got worse and worse. The insults got worse. The physical bullying got worse. Just everything went from bad to worse. And like I said earlier, not only the boys and girls would pick on me, also the teachers were picking on me, saying that they couldn't wait to get rid of, not including me, but some other students, that way they won't have to deal with this anymore. But the main thing that really got me in the heart, where I just couldn't take it anymore, is like whenever the girls would say that I would never get married, I will never have kids, and that I would just basically die alone, and I would always be alone. Those were the insults that really got to me, and I just really couldn't take it anymore. Basically, in summary of everything that I just said about high school, I would not only get beat up threats and death threats, I was bullied because of my weight, I was bullied because of my race, and a lot of these people would say that I would die alone, that I don't belong here, and during that time, I stopped telling my mom and my dad what was going on because I felt like, what was the point? What I mean by what was the point is it's not that they didn't believe me or anything, but when they found out that the bullying got worse and everything, when we would complain to the counselors, the assistant principals, all the times what we would get is nothing's wrong, we didn't do anything, everything's fine, and also like, oh, we'll take care of it. But nothing would get done. After one day where I felt like I couldn't take it anymore, um, I just went upstairs into my room, have that little blade out, and I honestly had no idea what I was going to do with it. All I remember is that I was holding it like this, and at that point I thought of either running away or, like, I guess you would say suicide, but I just didn't know how I would do it. And something inside of me told me no. And so what I did is I just went like this and just put it back on this drawer that I had in my room. But something inside of me told me no. Instead, I honestly can't remember, but I think I took it with me, and then I went downstairs to the family table, and my mom and my sister were there, and They weren't necessarily sitting right there, but they were like in the kitchen doing something. But what I did is that I just put the blade on my dad's side of the table, like in the middle between my mom and my dad, and I told my mom and my sister everything, and then they would eventually tell my dad and everything, and until finally they realized, like, obviously I couldn't deal with it anymore. And this was during the 10th grade, my sophomore year, and we were just thinking of, like, where else can we go? Am I still gonna go to that horrible school for the rest of my life, knowing that my sister is gonna graduate and she's not gonna be there anymore? Um, I just really had no idea what to do in that point in my life, and I was just hoping for the best. But all I know is that I did not want to go back there because I've been through so much pain and so much torture, I guess you could say, that I just want to go somewhere else where no one has even heard of me before. I wanted to go to a school where no one has even heard of me or would pick on me, or I just really wanted to go to a high school where I would have my time to shine because I've been put down for so long that every day it would hurt me and it would go from bad to worse. I just really wanted to find a school where I would be at peace for once rather than being depressed or afraid to go. Now, this is where we get the little happy ending part. Summer of 2013, in somewhere in August, um, that's when this new school was going to have this new orientation for either freshmen or new transfer students that were going to come to the school. I remember my mom, my sister, and me, we all went to the orientation that they had over there at the school, while my sister and me were taking pictures with the school's mascot over there. Um, that picture was the first time that I actually smiled. By the time the first day of school came around, either the 24th or the 25th, I honestly can't remember at that time. Um, I knew it was somewhere in the last week of August when the first day of school was going to happen. Um, I still had a little bit of thoughts and doubts in my head, and honestly, I didn't bring any of my school supplies with me. I just brought him with me inside my backpack, and I just zipped it up. And I obviously I had my phone with me and everything, but from what I remember, when I went to my first classroom in that new school, all of a sudden I started to make friends in less than a second. And I was talking to this girl, and I remember her, and we were both like talking and everything, and I was legitimately starting to make friends for the very first time. That had never happened to me before, where I felt so comfortable and so confident that I was already making friends on the first day of school. That has never happened to me before. After that class and after that whole first day of school was over, all those fears and doubts just melted away. And when I told everything to my mom on that very first day, I remember she was in tears, but I can tell that those tears were tears of joy. And I started to cry with her as well because I finally felt comfortable. I finally felt like I belonged, like I kind of had a purpose. I finally felt myself. And this high school was literally my home, away from home, away from home. And I remember to this day, whenever my high school would have school spirit days, for once I didn't get picked on or anything, and I felt so comfortable being myself. And if there was ever a bullying problem in this school, unlike the other school that I went to, they actually took it very seriously. Because I remember in the other high school that I transferred to, whenever there was a bullying problem over there, all the times what we would get is that everything's fine, everything's good. But that's not how the way I felt over there. But if there was ever a bullying problem at this school, they took it very seriously and they wanted to make sure that we felt comfortable and that the bullying was like said and done and like it wouldn't happen anymore. They took it very seriously than the other high school that I transferred to. I felt so comfortable and so at peace and so confident that I literally became my own person. For so long, I felt like I was a shy little turtle inside that little shell. But when I went to this school, I came out of that little shell and I became my own person. And also, I found out that I was not the only person who transferred from that old high school to here. Because what they did with my senior class, when I was a senior in 2015, they did this little experiment with my senior class, and they asked us a couple of questions, and one of the questions they ask is that, are you considered a native to this school? And what that means is that you've been to this particular school all your life. That includes the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school that were all attached to this place. And 25% of them said yes, while the other 50% were transfer students from the high school that I transferred away from. That bad high school that I transferred from, along with the other 50%, I'm just going to call that one Transfer C. Transfer B was another high school that was not considered as bad, but I mean, I guess like they were getting too overpopulated and they just needed more space. And the same thing goes with the Transfer A, I believe. Like they needed more space for them to expand, I guess you could say, and so our high school was big enough for that. And so some of those students from those high schools had to come to this high school. As for the other percentage, some of them were either new students who attend to the school all too late, or some of them were foreign exchange students. And my senior year, that's when I finally had my time to shine. That's where I had all of my first and lasts, actually. I had my very first homecoming experience, like the dance and everything. Well, I went to my homecoming dance in my 9th grade year, but I didn't have fun. And I also went to my homecoming dance on my 11th grade year, which was my junior year. But in my senior year, that's where I had the most fun because that's where pretty much most of my friends were together and everything. Um, I remember I had my first football games over there. I had my first crush, which that will be a video for another day. When it came to graduation day, and when I got my cap and gown, I I honestly never thought that this would happen. Like, never in my wildest dreams. And all I remember is that while I was sitting there through that entire ceremony, I was just like literally like talking to myself in my mind, like, I can't believe it. Like, I actually did it. I survived. I cannot believe it that I would make it this far. And here I am graduating from high school. And I remember through that entire ceremony, while I was singing my school's alma mater for one last time, I had a little bit of tears in my eyes, and so did my family. My mom, my sister, my parents, my mom and dad, my sister, and my grandparents as well. They were so happy to see me with that graduation class and that final moment where we threw our caps in the air. I just couldn't believe it that I made it this far. And I remember what my U.S. history teacher told me, along with my grandfather. What he told me is that what my history teacher told me is that I was their school's diamond in the rough. And what my grandfather has said to me is that no matter where you go, just be your own person. And when I was sitting there for graduation and everything, I felt like I accomplished everything. And I remember looking looking back at my graduation photos, like everyone was so happy and proud of me. And while I was smiling through all those pictures in my mind, I never thought I would make it this far. And when we went to my grandparents' house for my graduation party and everything, my grandfather was so proud of me. And I remember that was one of the moments in his life where he was the happiest for me. Like, all that aside, if it hadn't been for this school where I finally had my chance to shine and everything, then we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. This school, along with my favorite band, 5 Seconds of Summer and everything, which that will be a video for another day. If it hadn't been for this particular high school, literally I would not be standing here right now. Because this particular high school had like this strong community bond with each other. And I can proudly say that I graduated from that particular high school. For those of you who have saw my Instagram posts about this school, you already know what it is. But I'm just so proud that I graduated from there, where I finally felt like I could be myself, to be my own person and everything. 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't think that none of this would happen. And that's pretty much the end of my entire bullying story. Depressing at first, but in the end, it was kind of worth it, I guess you could say. And the reason why that is because I just hope that not only my story will help anyone who's watching this, but I also created a special account for anyone who needs it. And these accounts are called Galaxy Safe Space. Now, Galaxy Safe Space is for pretty much anyone who is either going through bullying or going through tough times, or is pretty much established for anyone who needs someone to talk to. And I will be there to listen to you. Now, I know some of you guys are back in school, trust me, because I know I am, and I will do my best to hear your stories and just answer your responses, and just keep you guys motivated. This entire account that I have made is to make you guys feel that you are not alone, because trust me, you are not alone. So if you ever feel alone or have no one to talk to, I will be there to listen and help you in any way I can. I'll have more information at the end of this video. Another thing I will say is this: if you're a bully, stop it now, because it's not worth it. And if you're a victim of being bullied, please talk to someone or tell someone that you know. And trust me, everyone goes through this, so don't feel like you're alone or like you're the only one. Because trust me, that's how the way I felt. And just want to let you guys know that you are not alone in this. And if you guys need any help, I will be there to listen and help you in any way I can. And whenever you're in the darkness and you feel alone, be the star in your own galaxy. That's pretty much all I have to say for this video. If you already made it to the end, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys at least learned, or this video has helped you, or you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're new, and also ring my bell so that way you guys can get notified on my videos. Thank you guys so much again for watching, and as always, I'll see y'all next time on my galaxy. I love you all. Bye.